All right, good morning. This is Una Daly, the Community College Outreach Director at the OpenCourseWare Consortium, and I want to welcome you today to our third webinar in our spring series. And it's my pleasure to be presenting with three expert colleagues about OER authoring tools. So this is going to be a very information-filled presentation for those of you who are looking for OER authoring tools, or perhaps those of you who are already using them and want to see the features of other platforms. We are using a Blackboard Collaborate system this morning, and for the most part, the area that you might want to interact with other participants is on the left side of your screen. That's where you'll see the participants list and the chat window. And please feel free to use that chat window throughout our presentation. That will be our primary source of questions during the presentation. At the end, we will open it up to questions over microphone as well. Alrighty. If you haven't had a chance, please do go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat window and tell us about how you heard about the webinar today. And once again, I'm Una Daly, the Community College Outreach Director at the OpenCourseWare Consortium. So I'm going to ask you to let us know where you're from. You can do this by either typing that in the chat window, or if you're feeling adventurous, using our little icon toolbar, which runs down the middle of your screen. There's one that has a star on it, and you can pick up icons from that strip and drop it on where you're located. All right, I can see we have some folks from the Southwest, Northwest, East Coast. Do we have anyone from outside North America this morning? As you know, the OpenCourseWare Consortium is a consortium of almost 300 universities and colleges throughout the world in many, many countries. And so although the Community College Consortium is currently located, our members are located in North America, we're looking forward to expanding beyond those borders. All right, thanks for sharing that, John, about how you heard about the session today. So, quick rundown on our agenda. I want to just give a brief overview of the Community College Consortium for Open Educational Resources for those of you who might be new, and then we're going to get right to the content of our webinar today. And you're going to hear from Adrienne Watt about the Pressbooks platform that is made available through the British Columbia campus organization. Second up, we're going to hear from Daniel Williamson about the Connexions authoring tools, and these are the new ones that are coming this summer and fall. And finally, we're going to hear from Sue Evans, the CEO of SoftChalk, about the new SoftChalk Creator and Cloud Repository. So very exciting information, and then we'll talk about our webinar coming up the end of April, which I hope you'll all be able to attend as well. All right, so our mission is promoting the adoption of OER to enhance teaching and learning. That's our primary focus. And as part of that, we support professional development for faculty and staff, community colleges. And this webinar is part of that, outreach. And our focus, of course, is community colleges, although all educators are welcome to participate with us. And students as well, I should add. We are over 150 community and technical colleges who are members of the OpenCourseWare Consortium, which is our parent organization. Many more of you participate with us on a regular basis, and we'd love for you to join officially as members. And so that's an invitation to you to become more committed to the open education movement, but appropriate for your college. So, I'm going to get right to today's topic here, and it's about OER authoring, or the authoring of open educational resources. And I know many of you are faculty who are online, and also some administrators who work with faculty. And I'm often asked when I do workshops, what is the best platform for creating an open textbook or an open educational resource? And how do I find other open educational resources that I can remix and combine with my own original material? And then how do I share it? And so these are very valid questions, and there's a number of platforms out there that some open source, some not. And so today we're going to hear about 3 of them. There's certainly more than these 3 available, but these are 3 very compelling platforms, and I think you're going to find this very interesting. And at the end we'll open it up to questions and hear from you about maybe what features you need in an OER authoring platform. All right, so I'm going to get right to our first speaker, and it's my pleasure to introduce Adrienne Watt. She's a business and computer technology instructor at Douglas and Northwest Community College in British Columbia. She's a longtime educator of post-secondary students, and she also ran her own software development company previously. Recently, Adrienne has been exploring a wide range of technology-related tools and processes to improve delivery methods and enhance learning for her students. And she has created 2 open textbooks over the last year, and she's going to tell us this morning about her experience developing the database systems textbook using the Pressbooks platform from BCcampus. And before I turn it over to Adrienne, I just wanted to mention that BCcampus is the IT organization for all of the post-secondary institutions within British Columbia. And it does much more than that, but it does provide IT infrastructure. Adrienne, are you there?
I am here.
Great, go ahead.
Hello everyone, and thank you for your introduction, and thank you for inviting me to talk about my experience with Pressbooks. As you mentioned, I've been teaching online courses for Northwest Community College in their ICT collaborative program. And this program was one of the projects that was initiated and supported by BCcampus. You mentioned a little bit about BCcampus. I'm just going to give you a little quick introduction to it. BCcampus is a nonprofit provincial-wide collaborative organization that's funded by the Provincial Ministry of Advanced Education. Their mandate is to use information technology to connect the expertise, the programs, and the resources of all BC post-secondary institutions under a collaborative service delivery framework. So one such program is the ICT collaborative program that I teach for. BCcampus is the organization that is administering the provincial post-secondary open textbook project that was announced last fall by the Ministry of Advanced Education. The textbook I created is hosted on BCcampus server, and they have provided me with an amazing amount of support through this whole process. So definitely they did a great job. Okay, the need for open textbooks started for me a couple of years ago. Each year there have been problems or issues with textbooks. Either the students couldn't afford them, or they received them late, or they get the wrong versions. Now you're wondering, why would this happen? Well, with online students, when they take courses from home, they're often too far from campus to purchase their textbooks from the bookstore, so they ordered them online. Other issues that exist are textbook obsolescence, especially in technology topics. Some textbook content is too broad, not specific enough, and sometimes I find myself tailoring my course to match the textbook. I never liked doing that. I also found that I had to change my course, sometimes very quickly, when the version of the book changed. So I found these issues to be fairly problematic for me, but mostly for my students. There would be a lot of confusion, especially if they got the wrong textbook, in terms of versions. So last year, an associate of mine, Terry McAloney, who currently works at BCcampus, we talked about the possibilities of open textbooks for my class. I thought that was a great idea. So upon initial review of various sites on the internet, I didn't feel there was anything quite right. So I thought maybe I should create my own. So my expertise lies in databases. So to create a book on databases seemed like a natural choice. in addition to the advantages for the students, I'm hoping that faculty can also work together to create some really robust books that'll fit their needs and their students, book that they can modify as they see fit, and like I said, collaborate together. When I started looking for sources, I found a number of different options. Like I said earlier, none of them were quite right. But the more I looked, the more I found information. It was quite amazing. At first I was a little put off at the beginning because I couldn't find it immediately. But then as I said, as you keep going, you'll find so much. It's amazing. Often I found small pieces. And at first I thought that's not going to work, but then I realized that small pieces are actually a good thing because you can put those pieces together as you need to. And that's how I did it. One of the other ways to find these books was using Google's advanced search to locate the free to use and share material. That was a wonderful feature. This also works for images, you know, and other material online. For my book, I had to create my own images, a lot of them, just because of the nature of the book. And I used Microsoft Visio to do that. It's a great tool if you have ever used it. I've been using it for a while, so it was easy for me. Now, I did everything in Word to start with, and then I copied it to Pressbooks. And this was so easy. I read in Pressbooks blogs that copying from Word doesn't always work. But I had no trouble with it. The process seemed very painless to me. So, let me tell you a little bit about Pressbooks, which is why I'm here. I used Pressbooks because it was the tool BC Campus selected. They did some research in terms of tools that are available and best to use online, and they selected Pressbooks. Pressbooks is open source, so they have their own copy of it running on their servers. When I first started using Pressbooks, I had no prior knowledge of it, and there was not much information on the internet to help me get familiar. It was a little difficult to get going, but you know, you do it, trial and error, you manage. That was one of the reasons I actually did everything in Word first. When I started this process, there was no tutorial, so since then, Pressbook has put together some tutorials to get people started. And very simply, if you go to pressbooks.com, on the very first page, you'll see the tutorials and you'll be able to also create your account. So one of the nice things about Pressbooks is that it's easy to create an account and publish your book. People have asked me, you know, how do you even get started? How do you put a book on the internet? Well, with Pressbooks, it's really, really easy. You can create your own personal account, put your book in Pressbooks, and it's on the internet. So it's quite nice and easy. Okay, how do you use Pressbooks? Well, one of the first things when you create your book, you can start by choosing a theme for your book. Now that's not necessary, but it does allow you to select the look for your book in terms of layout, how you want it to appear. As I move through this presentation, I will talk a little bit about each menu item, or most of the menu items, on the left that you see here. This is found in the home page of Pressbooks. The first menu item is the dashboard, and the dashboard lets you see your book and its chapters. In addition, it also shows Pressbook news items, blogs, etc. So kind of helpful area. The menu item book info that you see selected here is the book information screen. And this is where you add, edit important information about your book, such as author name, publication date, publisher. You can also upload your cover here. You can add copyright notice. And you can fill in as little or as much information as you like. The next step is to organize your book. This is the text item. This is the main area that you're going to be doing all your work in. Right? Using this screen, you can add, edit, and arrange the order of the contents of your book. You could add chapters. You can add parts. You can also add front matter and back matter. Front matter are things like introduction and preface, and back matter are things like indexes and bibliographies. So very simply, add chapters, add parts, whatever you find necessary to add for your book. The other thing you can do, or that's available, of course, is the exporting of the book. On the export screen, you can export the book in various formats: PDF, ePub, Mobi for the Kindle, and other formats. I'm not sure if you can see that. It's kind of little print on the screen here. You can change your theme of the book for export purposes only. You can change how the PDF will appear in terms of page size, paragraph separation, whether blank pages should be removed or not, and a few other options. The next menu item is Media. When you select that, it shows the media library, as you see here. This is the images that I have downloaded for my book, or that are available in the media library for my book. You also can see where some of these images appear, in which chapters. So this is where you can add audio, video, and other images to your book. You can see where each image is used in terms of chapter. You can sort the image by the columns displayed on the screen. But you can end up with many images. It would be nice to see a way to organize your images into folders, but currently that's not available. The screen kind of went funny for me there. Okay, the next screen that you see here is adding your media. So while you're in text, and this is right now, we're looking at a screen that shows you chapter 7. And I kind of zoomed in so you can see a little bit better. Basically, to add media, you place your cursor in the area where you want to add your image. You click on the Add Media option or button, and this opens a window that shows you the images you can use. And this is what you would see. So, in this window, it displays the images currently in the library, and there are many. You can select one from here or upload a new one. One of the nice things that would be great is if they can add a name for this image. However, when you select an image, the name and information about that image will appear on the right-hand side of this particular screen. However, you may not want to always select each image, so that's something that they could improve on, is to add just a little name, you know, a short name or shortened version of the name for the image. But this is basically what you see. The next step, of course, is to select the image you want. And once you've selected that image, the image will appear in your text, like this one. At this point, when you select the image in text, you can size the image. You know, it's got sizing handles like most images do. And then you're done. So adding images is really easy and simple to use. Overall, I've had a good experience with Pressbooks. It's easy to use, especially when you're copying from Word to Pressbooks, like I have. If you're HTML savvy, you can format your textbook using HTML. You can add images, audio recordings. This is something that I actually would like to do. I would like to add a recording at the end of each chapter, allowing people to listen to their book instead of always just reading it. But it's additional information for them in terms of how they can you know, experience the book. You can also add lecture materials such as presentation slides, examples, audio, video. You can build a course around your book. So some things that I'd like to see improved: in the area of adding images, it can be quite cumbersome. If the image library contains a lot of images, it takes a while to go through them and pick the one you need. Not to mention the image is fairly small, so you'd have to know exactly what you're looking for. Another thing that would be nice is to improve replacing images. Ideally, if I upload an image with the same name, it should replace the one that's already there. However, that doesn't happen. It just adds the new image with the same name. So this could be a problem if you don't know you've already added it. Currently, what I need to do is to delete the image from the image library, add the new image, and then relink it to the area. So that can be time-consuming if you, let's say, want to format a whole bunch of images, you know, reformat them. When you're formatting text, you can't choose different fonts. You have to select an existing style, like, for example, paragraph, heading 1, heading 2. Again, this is where knowing HTML will come in handy, since you have a lot more flexibility. Changing margins, tab stops, etc. is also not available. And as I'm talking, I'm realizing that I'm asking for a word processor, and maybe that's asking for too much. And again, that's why I use Word. I can do a lot with Word, and then copy and paste works beautifully. So use the tool that you're comfortable with. The feedback was very positive in terms of the book and the environment. When I was done developing the book, I had it peer reviewed. I had another fellow instructor, a content expert, review it for me. Students who took the course liked the book and found Pressbooks really easy to use. I had so many other things I wanted to do. I typically, record my lectures. Again, something that I'd like to add, if you were to do PowerPoint slides in there, you can have PowerPoint slides with audio. There's always work to be done. Videos, exercises, activities, and other materials can be added to the book. This is where I hope that other instructors can take the book and add to it and work with it. Overall, this was a really rewarding experience. I learned a lot going through the process. I encourage others to create their own book. With tools like Pressbooks, there's really no reason why you can't. If you like curriculum development, you'll certainly like creating your own book. It's very rewarding. Thank you for attending and listening to me. It's been a pleasure sharing with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adrienne. Excellent presentation, as always. And we've had a few questions in the chat window, but about the use of symbols, logic symbols, and mathematical symbols. And I think, for the most part, Brad and Clint, who are with BC Campus, have answered those questions. We can come back to that at the end if folks want to dig into that a little bit deeper. Okay?
That would be great. I have to leave at 11, so maybe Clint can help with some of those answers if I'm not here.
Okay. Okay. That sounds excellent.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ace. And by the way, Clint Lalonde and Brad are staff at BC Campus who I work directly with the Pressbooks platform. All right. Very interesting presentation on the Pressbooks platform. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Daniel Williamson, who is the Managing Director of OpenStax College and Connexions. Daniel is a Rice University graduate and longtime Connexions team member, now managing the day-to-day operations, using his extensive experience in academic e-publishing to guide content development, technology integration, and overall project coordination. Daniel oversees the creation, editing, and maintenance of a database of nearly 2,000 open educational resources, accounting for a total online viewership of over 3 million. And today, Daniel is going to give us a preview of changes to the Connexions editing platform to improve usability, accessibility, and sharing. So, Daniel, are you ready?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Great.
Go ahead.
Well, thanks, Una, for the introduction. And first, I must apologize to all of you. I'm a little bit under the weather, so bear with me through the sniffling. So today I'm going to talk to you about Connexions and what's coming next from us. So we've been around for quite a while, but what we really envision learning looking like is something like this, a network. And we believe that from this connected network of information that students and researchers and professors can make new connections and exploit the knowledge in this network in new and meaningful ways. And unfortunately, with many traditional standards and practices, this network of information is either locked up because of licenses or formatting, which prevents interoperability. But fortunately, with open standards, this knowledge network and this learning environment becomes a lot more like this, a knowledge ecosystem. And in this ecosystem, people can take and adapt content. They can work in harmony with others to grow new and vibrant content. And they can continue this cycle of growth and expansion and increase the amount of sharing that they do. And they can create new and interesting ideas from the content that's already there, as well as content that they contribute. And so OER enablers, such as technologies like the internet, virtually unlimited storage and databases, nearly ubiquitous access to the internet, and also easy ways to share. And of course, I couldn't go without mentioning new intellectual property licenses through Creative Commons. We take a situation like this and make it a lot more like this. And in this situation, you allow people to cooperatively construct resources. You can put them in places where people can freely use this content. They can remix the content, and they can repurpose this content for their needs. And this is exactly what Connexions has been doing for the past 14 years. So Connexions was started back in 1999 at Rice University. It's one of the first open education authoring platforms. Currently, the system has about 1,300 open textbooks and collections. And so these are comprised of modules, and we have over 21,000 of these Lego-style modules. And, for clarification, a module is a small knowledge chunk that's sort of like a section in a book that you can stitch together into a myriad of different ways, right? So you can put them together like these Lego blocks into many different arrangements. And so Connexions has contributors from all over the world. There's content in over 40 languages. There's millions of users every month from over 190 countries. And the STEM content alone in Connexions has been used more than 90 million times since 2006. And so all this content is free for anybody to access. There's no login or password to access the content. And all of the content is licensed CC BY, which means that anyone can take this content and they can modify it to meet their needs. And Connexions as a platform provides a simple system for creating derivative versions of this content. And so one of the questions we always ask people is, well, where do you want your book? So people are choosing to use Connexions because of the flexibility the system offers them. It allows you to edit content that you've imported from Word docs or Open Office docs or even LaTeX files. And actually, I believe one of my colleagues was on this call, Kathy Fletcher, and she's been working as a Shuttleworth Fellow to make this even easier. And so she also allows for you to import content from Google Docs and even blogs. So you don't have to, you can start from anywhere and get your content into Connexions. And then Connexions allows you to make all of this content available in many different formats using a term that I like to call automagically. So we automagically make your content available in a PDF. We can make it available on the web. And then we can also make it available for mobile devices. So we have a Mobi output for your Kindle devices. We have ePub for your iPads and other e-readers, and we also have a mobile web front end that allows you to use it for smartphones and also low-tech feature phones. And this is especially important for developing countries like South Africa. So how do we get here? How do we create this content that can be automagically output to all these many different formats? Well, to be completely honest, up until now it hasn't been incredibly easy. It required using very techy tools, and it also required dealing with code. But luckily, thanks to a partnership with Google and also another partnership with the Shuttleworth Foundation, as well as additional funding from the Hewlett Foundation and Open Society Foundation, we're building a new and improved version of Connexions. And much of our focus was to take the current proof of concept repository that Connexions is right now with its automatic output formats, its authoring tools, and elevate that experience to a new, extremely user-friendly interface that's cloud-based and allows seamless OER authoring and sharing. And so we want you to be able to write all of your stuff once and then share it everywhere, so that you don't have to repeat the process, and you can also allow people to take and adapt your content seamlessly. So we call this frictionless remix. And so what I wanted to show you today was a quick, just some screenshots of the new editor that we're working on. Kathy has been doing a tremendous amount of work on the user interface, so if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, and we are also willing to set up some demos that will give you more of a hands-on look at this. So the screenshot that I have up right now, this is our new editor. It's developed in partnership with Shuttleworth Fellow Kathy Fletcher, as I mentioned. The idea is to be as Google Docs or Word-like as possible while still maintaining structured content. The structured content is what allows us to output to all these many different formats as possible. And so just as for instance, what is structured content? So a lot of people, when they're creating headings, for example, in their documents, they'll write the text they want to be a heading, they'll highlight that content, and then they'll bold it and maybe increase the font size. Well, unfortunately, when we take this this visual editing and try to translate it into something that's semantic like a heading, it doesn't translate very well. In another instance where you might be able to understand the idea of semantics is with a term. So if you look on this screenshot, there's a word that says formulae. So it's underlined right now with red, and we try to provide you with hints. So since we see that there's a word here that's bolded, we put a little line underneath, and you can turn off these hints. But what it does is when you click on it, it says, do you want this to be bold, or did you actually mean for this to be a term in your glossary? And so what if you say, yeah, I actually meant for this to be a term in my glossary, we can send it back to the glossary. We can keep this content here. We can actually allow you to provide a definition to go with that. So we're trying to build in this semantics so that you get really rich content. Because what the semantics allows us to do is we can actually then take out these pieces of content when we know more about them. We can take out and create flashcards of all of your glossary terms. We can give your students a summary of what they should have learned in this content by looking at the section summaries and the glossary terms, the exercises, and even the examples. The other example that I have up here on this screenshot is math editing. We've spent a lot of time looking at how we can improve the input of math. So we've created a new visual editor that allows you to type in ASCII math or LaTeX, which are some of the most common and easy to use languages for writing math. And then as you're entering that, we actually provide you a visual update as to what that will look like as well. And I'm very excited about this. I think it's going to speed up math entry a lot and make it much more accessible for individuals who want to create math content. The other thing that we've worked on with regards to the semantic content is on the left-hand side you'll see this drag to add a new. So we've created these different semantic blocks such as examples or exercises, notes and figures, as well as numbered equations. And you can actually grab these and drag them into places on your content. And so as you see here, what I've done is actually I'm dragging in an example and then I place it there. I can give it a title and I can add more content to it. And what dragging these new semantic blocks in, when I do that, what the editor itself does is it makes sure that I drop it into places that it's legally allowed to go within the structure of the content. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to show with regards to this little screenshot demo is we're really focusing on improving accessibility of the content as well. And so you'll see this image on this screenshot has a little warning icon to the right of the image. When you click on that warning image, it says, oh, you forgot to provide an accessibility alt tag for this image for people who might be blind or using screen readers. And so we ask you to put the alt tag back in, and once you've done that, it saves it, and then tells you thank you. We want to reward you for making this content more accessible for other learners. So the other thing that's really great about using Connexions is that thanks to funding from the Hewlett Foundation and the Gates Foundation and 20 Million Minds Foundation, as well as the Arnold Foundation, Connexions kind of comes preloaded. So we have a library of over 11 books that are in production right now, and all of this content is built such that you can take it and start remixing it using these new editing tools. And these are all, standard scope and sequence requirements textbooks that are high quality, professionally developed, have interactive labs and other interactive features in them, and they're all yours to create your own derivative versions. And so we're really focusing on unlocking the power of open educational resources. And that's it for my little talk. I hope I didn't go over time. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is all right there. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel. Did an excellent job in spite of the sniffles. Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've had some interesting chat going on in the chat window, so check that out if you haven't been looking at that. And we're going to move right along to Sue now because we're right on time. And so I want to introduce Sue. Let me get off to our next slide here. Yes, it's my pleasure now to introduce Sue Evans, who is the CEO and founder of SoftChalk and a pioneer in the e-learning industry. Beginning in the mid-1990s, Sue was a lead developer of one of the first commercially available learning management systems, WebCourse in a Box. She was also the co-founder and president of Mad Duck Technologies, which developed and sold WebCourse in a Box. After merging Mad Duck Technologies with the e-learning industry giant Blackboard, Sue remained on board there until leaving to found SoftChalk in 2002. And today she's going to talk about the newest tools at SoftChalk, and that's SoftChalk Cloud and the new way to create and share content with it. Sue, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Una. Appreciate that introduction. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today, and again, thanks to Una for putting together the webinar. So I'm the CEO and co-founder at SoftChalk, where our mission is to develop simple-to-use but powerful e-learning solutions designed to meet the needs of educators. And so you might be wondering, well, what is a for-profit company doing at an OER webinar? Well, it's because we think SoftChalk is a great way for educators to create portable, modular, reusable content that can be used to create OER materials. From the beginning, our vision at SoftChalk has been to provide educators a really easy way to create content that's both engaging and interactive, but also content that's portable, interoperable, can be used in any learning management system or can be used without a learning management system. Content that is modular, easy to mash up with your own learning materials and other web resources. And we try to allow you to do this in a way that's collaborative and that supports open standards and open distribution of your content whenever possible. And all of this supports our notion of create content once and then use that content anywhere. And we think that all of these features support the creation of OER content. In fact, our latest innovation at SoftChalk is something called SoftChalk Cloud, and that actually includes an OER repository. So SoftChalk Cloud is a new product that we introduced just this past June, a little less than a year old, and it is a subscription-based e-learning content authoring platform and learning object repository. So the idea is that users create accounts. It is a subscription-based platform, but when you create an account there, you have tools that let you create and organize your e-learning content. And then most SoftChalk Cloud users deliver their content through a learning management system like Blackboard or Moodle, although you certainly don't have to deliver it through those. You can create content and simply link it to your website or deliver it through Google Docs or by sending links to it out in email or lots of other options. Any SoftChalk Cloud user, as they're creating content, they can make their content, keep it personal, meaning that they're not sharing it with the community, or they can make it public. And if they make their content public, then by default it is assigned a Creative Commons license, and it is made available for discovery in the SoftChalk Cloud community OER repository. And the SoftChalk Cloud OER repository currently has about 4,000 items in it. It's growing on a daily basis, but you can find there lessons, activities, and quiz groups that you can use as is or if you're a SoftTalk Cloud user, you can actually grab copies of those items and modify them and repurpose them for your own use. So if you're interested in taking a look at what's available in the SoftTalk Cloud OER repository, you can point your web browser to softtalkcloud.com, which is, I've got a screenshot of that on the display there. And so it's a great place for you to go, and one, you can see the kinds of content that are able to be created with SoftTalk. And it's also a good place to find ready-made content that you can either use as is or you can repurpose. So if you visit the SoftTalk Cloud site and you want to find the OER content, there are several ways to do it. One is you can do keyword searching by typing a keyword into the area on the front page. You can click the Show Advanced button here, and it will pop open a dialog and let you do searching by subject or by education level or content type. You also can click here on highest rated content and recently shared content, and that will show you the 4 highest rated items, and then you can look at additional content from there. Or you can click on recently shared. It will show you the 4 most recently shared content items in the cloud. So how do you create content and get it into the SoftTalk Cloud? That's probably the next question. And what I'd like to do is give you a whirlwind tour of that. And I'm going to try to do that through application sharing. So let me see if I can make this work. And okay, so hopefully you're now looking at my desktop where I have open my web browser, and I have it open to SoftTalk Cloud. And I'm logged into my account here. So you can see up here in the, hopefully you can see this in the top sort of area of the screen. I'm logged into my account. And once I'm logged into my account in SoftTalk Cloud, there's an area called My Content that becomes available to me. And this is where I have all of my content that I previously created is organized for me. But what I'm going to show you today, what we're going to spend the next few minutes on, is taking a look at how to create content with SoftTalk Cloud. So if I wanted to create a brand new content item, I would simply click here on the Create Content button on the menu, and it would pop open my SoftTalk authoring program that's called SoftTalk Create. And so I have it open here on my screen. Hopefully you're seeing that now. Let me just check in. Una, are you able to see that okay?
We are seeing your Create window, yes.
Okay, perfect. And I'll apologize in advance. I felt like I couldn't really show you how to create content with SoftTalk unless I tried to show you the real deal. So I'm trying to do the screen sharing here, and hopefully the network will cooperate so that you'll get a good view here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make this Create window full screen. Just makes it easier to work with. And you can see it looks a lot like a word processing program, which is really interesting because all 3 of the products we're talking about today seem to have a very similar format, which is sort of a word processing kind of interface. And of course, one of the reasons for that, I think, is that most people, most educators are familiar with word processing tools, and it makes it really easy for them to get started with these tools. What I'm going to also show today is how you can take an existing Word document and turn it into a SoftTalk content item very easily. So I've just popped open my Word program here with a lesson that I have on the basics of eye anatomy, and I'm going to copy that content out of Word, and I'm going to paste it right in here to the SoftTalk authoring program. And when I do that copy and paste, it brings over not only my text, but also all my formatting. So it's brought over my headings, my image, my bullets, my web link came over, my table, and it's actually converted it all to HTML format. And so now if I was going to continue to shape this into an interactive and engaging lesson, I'm going to show you what I would do. I would probably come in here next and insert a couple of page breaks in the lesson, and I like to do that because I think it helps chunk the information up a little bit rather than have one long scrolling page. I can chunk my lesson into multiple pages. Next, I'm going to go up here to the Style Properties menu, and here's where I can apply a design style to my lesson. And SoftTalk comes with about 100 design styles built in, or you can create your own. And what I'm going to do is apply a design style that I previously created where I chose the color scheme and put a school logo up here that I wanted to use. So I'm going to just click and reuse that style design that I previously created. I'm going to type in a title for my lesson and the subtitle. There are some other options here that let me affect the way the page navigation is generated, but I'm just going to take all the defaults. All right, so now I have copied and pasted from Word, and I've applied a design style. I put in a couple of page breaks. Now the next thing I'm going to do is, towards the bottom of page 1, I want to show you how to add some interactive elements, because this is one of the strengths of SoftTalk, is the ability for you to not only deliver text and images to your students, but also allow you to create and integrate media and interactive elements. So to add one of those elements into my lesson, I'm going to go to the Insert menu where I can create pop-up text annotations anywhere in my text. I can put in quiz questions. I can put in whole groups of quiz questions delivered together, like maybe a pre-test or a post-test at the beginning or end of my lesson. There are about 20 plus different kinds of activities that you can build in SoftTalk, everything from crossword puzzles to flashcards to identify activities, ordering pairs, photo albums, word searches, slideshows, interactive timelines, and so forth. And these are all templates that you can customize with your own information. I'm going to come back to this in a minute and show you a little bit more about how that works. You can also, of course, put in images, create bookmarks, put in hyperlinks, bring in audio, video, flash, any kind of media that you can put into a web page, you can put into a SoftTalk lesson. You can put in web widgets and also insert PDFs and HTML sites as iframes in your lesson. So really to do any of these things, you simply put your cursor where you want the item to go in your lesson, and then you choose the item that you want to put in. And I just want to give you the flavor for how this works. I'm going to show you very quickly how to create a simple activity in SoftTalk. This one that we're going to create is an image labeling activity. I start by selecting an image. So I've just selected an image to use in my activity. I'm going to type in a few little labels here. So I'm going to put in 3 labels, pupil, sclera, and iris. And then once I've typed in my labels, I click Place Labels, and it pops up a dialog that lets me essentially set up the answer key for this activity. I can drag my label around. I can link it into the image, and by doing this, what I'm doing is I'm setting up the answer key. And then I save it when I'm done, and I can also assign a point value to this, and then I'm going to finish. And so what's happened now is SoftTalk has actually created that activity and embedded it into my SoftTalk lesson. So there it is. It's at the bottom of page 1. I'm going to do one other thing. I'm going to show you one other tool in SoftTalk. There are really a lot of other tools, but we have a very short amount of time here, so I just wanted to try to pick the things that I thought were maybe of greatest interest to this audience, and actually some of the most popular tools that are in the product. So what I'm going to show you next is the media search tool. In SoftTalk, we have something called media search, and it lets you go out and search different content repositories for content that you can use when you're creating your SoftTalk content. So I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. First, what I do is I type up in here the keyword that I want to search for in these different repositories. And then I can choose the repositories I want to search. So for example, I could search the National Learning Registry of Creative Commons content. I can search the SoftTalk Cloud OER repository, which I have selected here. I could select other repositories like Merlot, the National Science Digital Library, Wikipedia. I have checked YouTube and the SoftTalk Cloud OER repository, so I'm just going to search those two. I've got my keyword. I just click the search button. And then what happens is over here on the right, SoftTalk's going out and it's searching those two repositories, and it's returning the results right here within the context of SoftTalk authoring tool. So in YouTube, it's found a number of items, and in SoftTalk Cloud, it's found a number of items. And so what I'm going to do is, in SoftTalk Cloud, it's found a couple of lessons. So like I could actually grab one of these lessons and I could insert it into my lesson in an iframe, or I could actually open one of these lessons. So this allows me to find a lesson that someone else has contributed to the OER repository, and then I can open it up in SoftTalk and I can have my own copy of it and start making changes to it. So it's a very easy way for me to find content that other people have contributed and repurpose it for my own use. Similarly, I've got several different activities here that it's found. I'm going to use this crossword puzzle, and if I wanted to put that into my lesson, this is a crossword puzzle that's found in the SoftTalk OER repository that someone else contributed. I put my cursor where I want it to go. I have it selected. I can just click Insert, and then it lets me insert a copy of that into my lesson. So I now have my own personal copy that I can modify if I wanted to. Similarly, down here, it's found a bunch of YouTube videos. I can click and find out more about that YouTube video if I wanted to. If I wanted to use it in my lesson, I simply put my cursor where I want it to go. I have it selected. I can click Insert. And in the case of YouTube, it's actually inserted it into my lesson as a widget. So let's just take a quick look here and see what the lesson looks like the way a student would see it. So here's what we just created. I'm now looking at the lesson in my web browser the way a student would see it. Here's my content with my style design applied. It's picked up all the headings over from my Word document, and it's made page navigation table of contents out of that. I can navigate from page to page in my lesson by clicking the page numbers. It's created some within page navigation. It's added a customizable footer. It's created a mobile version of this content. So if I was accessing this content from a mobile device like an iPad or an Android tablet, it would show me a special version of the same content but designed more for mobile delivery. On page 1, going back to page 1, here is my content that came over from Word. Here is my activity that I created using the activity builder, where I have to drag my label and match it with the image. And if I get it in the right spot, I can score points. And if I get it in the wrong spot, it bounces back down to the bottom. So there's my one activity. Here is my crossword puzzle that I brought in that someone else created, shared in the OER repository, but I can pull it right into my SoftTalk lesson so I can easily reuse it. And here is my YouTube video that I brought in from the YouTube site. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of the flavor for how you can create content with SoftTalk. Once you've created your content, you go to the File menu. You can save the lesson back to the SoftTalk Cloud. You can also save all the independent objects, like those individual activities that you create. Those can be saved as independent objects, or they can be saved as part of your SoftTalk lesson. And then once that lesson has been saved back to the cloud, I'm going to pop back here into the cloud for a minute. It will appear in the My Lessons and Courses area. If I make this lesson public, it will by default be added to the OER repository, so anyone visiting the site can find that lesson, use it as is by linking to it, or if they're a SoftTalk Cloud subscriber, they can grab a copy of it and repurpose it and do whatever they want with it. Alternatively, if I don't want to share it in the repository, I can keep it personal, which means that it's not found by others, but I can make it available to my students, for example, by taking the URL associated with that content and putting it into my learning management system.
All right. Well, thank you, Sue. That was a really wonderful presentation, and the demo worked very well, actually, today. The gods were with us, the demo gods, as they say.
Excellent.
Did you want to finish up your slides? because we have about 1 minute.
I'm not going to finish the slides, and I'm just going to, I just wanted to pop up I'm going to pop it here so that if anybody wants more information about SoftTalk or the OER repository or would like to try it out, there's a 30-day free trial if you want to try the authoring piece. You don't have to have any account to use the OER repository, so you can just visit the site and search for the content. So I hope that if you're interested, you'll try that out.
All right. Thank you very much, Sue. Excellent. All right. I'm just going to move us along here to our final slides. So we'll go to questions in just a moment, but I wanted to let you know that we have a very special webinar coming up on April 30th, which will be around open education and MOOCs. And it will be a panel discussion, and it'll be kind of a heavy focus on California, which is, those of you who've been watching the press know that the California legislature has been very interested in open textbooks and MOOCs over the last year, and has passed some legislation and is in the process of passing some more legislation around allowing MOOCs to be, allowing students to receive credit for taking MOOCs and having a faculty-approved assessment. Anyway, a very interesting discussion we're going to have on April 30th. Please join us if you can. And once again, I want to thank all three of our presenters. Amazing platforms, and the work that they do is just amazing. And I think we should all give them a clapping hands for showing us this work this morning. And I know, Adrienne, you may have to take off, so if we have any questions for Adrienne, who has to leave in the next few minutes, let's go ahead and start with those. And you should be able to, by hitting the talk button, I have one extra mic available for folks to talk on, or you can simply type it in the chat window. While we're waiting for folks to speak up or to type in the chat window, I'm going to go ahead and just mention a couple of the questions that were already raised in the chat window. And Rob Knight in particular was asking about the repository of SoftTalk, and Natalie was able to answer some of those questions. The OER repository is available to non-users of SoftTalk, but if you want to author, there's a 30-day trial, and then you need to become a member of SoftTalk in order to actually post your items in there after the 30-day trial. I believe that's correct, Sue.
Yes, that's right. Yes, that's right.
Okay, great. We had some questions earlier about the symbols in Pressbooks, and I know that Brad and Clint Lalonde were talking about the MathML technology that is used in Pressbooks, which supports accessible symbol generation. Are either Clint or Brad on mic and want to speak directly to that?
Hello, it's Brad here. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can, Brad. Go ahead.
Here's what I know about MathML right now and Pressbooks is that what it really depends on is a couple of things, basically getting it in there and getting it out. And right now, getting it in there isn't too much of a problem because you're dealing with WordPress as the content management system. And the biggest challenge is writing it. And so what you need, writing MathML, I'm not sure if anybody's actually taken a look at how it's created, but it's fantastically confusing. So you need a WYSIWYG, or you need a button to click that will produce it for you. So that part isn't too difficult, getting that into WordPress. The other part is getting it out. And so you have all of these export files, ePub and PDF and so on and so forth. And in some of the export files, it's fairly easy to render MathML. But for instance, ePub 2.1 doesn't support MathML. So if you put it into your Pressbooks instance and through the WYSIWYG editor, it'll show up fine in HTML on the website, but once you export it to an ePub, you're kind of restricted by the standards. So the ePub 3, that standard supports MathML, and it also supports audio and video tags. And so that's sort of where everybody's moving now. It's just that we're kind of getting out of the woods with devices not supporting ePub 3, but I think there's a lot more support for it. It's been around the ePub 3 standard's been around for about a year. I think 2011 is when it came out, and so we're seeing a lot more support for that. And then all the other export files, PDF and whatnot, you have to render that MathML and get it to show up in PDFs and whatnot. So there's some complexity around that. So that's kind of the longer answer for everybody.
All right, thanks, Brad. And Brad did put his email in the chat window earlier if you want to follow up directly with Brad. Is that okay, Brad? Let's see. I'm looking for questions about Connexions. I'm very excited to hear about the new Connexions editor, and I really do like the idea of rewarding authors for making their OER accessible, because this is often something that is forgotten during the authoring process and is added in after the fact. And we all know it's more expensive to do that kind of thing after the fact. It takes more time, and an editor that really helps support that during the process of authoring, I think is very forward thinking. So Daniel, can you tell us about the beta cycle for that? Because I understand you're in beta right now on the Connexions, the new authoring tool, and do you have a date for when folks can start playing with that and then creating content?
Sure. So we are entering a beta in the summer, so about June of this year. So we'll start making all these tools available, and then we plan to have the full new app rolled out by, let's say, October. So that's when the full, yeah.
Do you expect to have the full product available?
That's correct.
But this summer it will be available for...
This summer we'll start making it available so that you can play with it. Certain functionality might not be available then, but we want to give people the opportunity to start exploring the new tool and seeing what's going to be available earlier.
Good, good. That sounds great. And Kathy mentioned in the chat window that for folks who might be on the West Coast, they're going to have a sprint in May to do more accessibility work in the editor, and I guess that's for programmers who on the West Coast who want to participate in a sprint in San Francisco. Thanks for that, Kathy. All right. UI designers and programmers are very encouraged to come to the sprint. Any other questions? And I'm sorry if I didn't catch your question earlier. Go ahead and retype it into the window, or speak up and grab a mic by clicking on the talk button. All right. Well, while we're waiting for the next few minutes to see anything else, if anything else comes in, I want to once again thank my three wonderful presenters: Adrienne Watt from British Columbia, Daniel Williamson from Rice University in Texas, and Sue Evans from SoftChalk, who they're located in Virginia. And once again, I want to thank all of you for coming today, and I hope that you'll stay in touch with us at the Community College Consortium for Open Educational Resources. We record all of these events, and the archive will be posted at our website by the end of the week, along with the slides. And you can find that at oerconsortium.org. All right, at this time I don't see any further questions. If my presenters don't have any final comments to make, do my presenters have any final comments?
None from me.
Joseph, thanks for organizing the conference, the webinar, Una. Great job.
Oh, absolutely. You're very welcome, Sue. And Thanks again to my presenters, and we are going to turn off the recording, and I'll be around here for a few more minutes if anything comes in the chat window. Have a great day, everyone.